Good morning.
Good morning, Derrick.
How dare you call me by my secret name? Derrick is referencing the fact that I'm giving myself a back massage as we talk.
I am a big fan, by the way, and I use it a bunch on Zoom during this pandemic.
Yeah.
And
so good.
I always get teased by it, but I'm like, you don't understand. It's it's your own personal back massage, man.
Yeah, exactly. You can tease me from Knotville.
Yep, exactly.
I'll be over here, nice and comfortable.
Yep.
So how are things going?
I think it's going pretty good. Yeah, I'm on Pacific time right now, visiting some family before winter really sets in. So it's been good. Nice to visit some folks, and still cranking hard on SavvyCal, getting a lot done. So feeling good about progress these days.
A big increase in your tweets.
Yeah, I feel like I'm back in kind of a public sharing groove on Twitter. It's been nice to kind of feed off a nice energy loop there, especially as I've been talking about on the product front, talking about some more like differentiating features that I've been working on, stuff that it's really intriguing people, or giving them a reason to like really give a close look to SavvyCal, and before they were just kind of watching from the sidelines, So that's been really nice, just to kind of test out, what kind of gets the most lift, and get an idea, get a sense for how in demand some of these features are.
Well, from an outsider's perspective, It makes it feel exciting and like the product is alive. So I was stoked to see you doing that, because like I'm a customer, and so I was like, ooh, new stuff is coming. Derrick's brewing things, and it just kind of got me hyped a little bit.
Yeah, I've tried this in the past with like, when I was doing Level for a while, I did like videos that I think people really enjoyed, where I was like building features live, in a screencast, and that was nice, and it kind of generated similar buzz, it felt like, but was a ton of work for me and was exhausting, and I like didn't get nearly as much done doing that, so I didn't keep up with it. And this feels like more sustainable. Like I can, at multiple points throughout the day, when I'm like either working on a piece of UI or just thinking through a problem, I'm like, could I package this up in a little graphic and just describe what I'm doing right now? And people are seeming to really like it, and it doesn't take a ton of effort from me. So
totally. And you're doing marketing, but without creating a bunch of new stuff or investing a ton of additional effort. The marginal increase is pretty small.
Yeah, I think this feels to me like kind of one way to do Twitter correctly, because we're in this kind of unique space. We talked about this a bunch in the past, but like this is where a lot of our markets are hanging out right now, and the power of a tweet can be crazy. Like if it's something that people really like and they start spreading it around and stuff gets amplified.
Totally. I've noticed actually something about myself, which is if someone recommends a product on Twitter and I'm like, oh, I might want that, I'll actually start following the company account for a while as like a reminder to myself, like, hey, maybe buy this at some point.
I do the same thing. Yeah.
And then if they have like interesting tweets and they kind of, I'm like, oh yeah, I did want to get this. And like eventually I find like it kicks me over, and like, and then I buy it. And so like, that's like the kind of the top of the funnel for me now.
Yeah. It's making one footstep towards it. It's like, well, I'll get in this stage of your funnel. And if you impress me at this level, or just stay on my radar, basically, like if you manage to capture some of my awareness, then I'll likely, nudge into the next step.
It makes me want to step up the Tuple Twitter account, because I bet there are people that are like this. Like for me, the most recent example of this was an Aura ring, this little fitness tracker ring, where it's like, oh yeah, I think I do want one of those. And so when someone mentioned it, I like followed the company account, and like they do a good job of like every so often just putting out like some like retweeting some social proof, or like talking about one of their features, or like why it's good. And every time I saw them, I'm like, oh yeah, I think I do want that. And I kind of just had this like regular drip of like, yeah, that does seem good. And then finally I was like, all right, I'm going to buy this now. And then I clicked through them and then bought it. So I think we should be taking advantage of this a little bit.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. So I have user list wired up, and it doesn't do it like an insane amount of tracking at this point, but it does tell me like when someone was last seen. So I can kind of, when I log into the app, I can look at my list of users, and it's just kind of automatically ranked by recency of visiting if you're a registered user. And it's been cool to see, like when I do this, I'll look in there and just see a bunch of people who signed up maybe a month ago, haven't converted yet, because I talked about another feature or just kind of, generated a little bit of buzz. They kind of return back, and my sense is that eventually this funnel will kind of develop some consistency where it's like on average in this band of users, some will just immediately activate, but there's probably a thick middle that will on average return, X number of times, need so many touch points before, nudging over the line. So it's been cool to see that, like, people register and I don't know, I should probably have more conversations. I think that's something that my helper on the marketing front will be doing a little bit of, but like figuring out like what are the blockers to people activating. But I think part of it is just building up touch points, right? Kind of nudges people over.
Totally. I feel like it makes you feel your product development is alive, like you're doing stuff and exciting things are happening. And I had a sense of excitement about SavvyCal because I saw several tweets from you. I think I would have felt that even if I weren't a customer, where it's just like, yeah, look at Derrick cranking along and making good features, and that looks smart, and like I like the way you did that, and it was kind of awesome.
It really is a virtuous cycle. I mean, because it's feeding my own energy as well. So like the more I put out and the more people get excited, the more I get excited, the more motivation I have to put out more. And I'm riding on a high of that right now. So
totally. Yeah, exactly. I think it goes two ways, which is even better.
Yep.
Were you working at like kind of off hours? It seemed like those tweets came out late.
Yeah, I have been actually putting in a little bit of extra time. Especially when I'm visiting family, schedules are really kind of wonky because, just kind of do random things throughout the day. But
that kind of made it more interesting to me. Like it was kind of like, oh, wow, it's like 10 o'clock and Derrick's over here cranking on how this checkboxes should work. And it's like, it just added to that sense of like, wow, he's really fired up right now.
Yeah. And it really was kind of a reflection of reality. Like I would hang out for a bit and then 9 o'clock at night, it's like, you know what, I think I can make a little bit of progress on this. And ooh, this looks nice. Maybe I'll tweet about this. And I was caring less about when the optimal time is to talk about the stuff and just kind of talking about it whenever I'm working on it,
I've started, there have been times where like it's evening or like I find that I think about I want to like tweet certain things when I'm like just sort of at home thinking about stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, I probably shouldn't because it's, Thursday at 7 p.m. And it's like, I'm going to stop doing that. I'm just like, I actually don't think there's really, I mean, maybe there is like an on times and off times on Twitter, but like it's kind of all day, it seems like to me.
Yeah. I think people I don't know if I can say with confidence they're spending more time on Twitter, but we know people spend a lot of time on Twitter throughout their day. And if you think about it, like I found like optimal times for getting likes and retweets is like sometime mid-morning, generally, kind of rule of thumb. But if you manage to get something interesting out in a different period of the day, then you have less competition almost because there's fewer people probably tweeting at that time, perhaps in your time zone range at least. So it's like you kind of have more of the the mind share,
Yeah, I think I'm going to start ignoring the time because it's like sometimes I have like an idea I want to get out there and I want to talk to people about it and see what they think and kind of see how it interacts with the world. And wait, and sometimes if I wait, it just like I kind of lose the inspiration, and so I'd rather just put it out. I'm gonna stop worrying about that, I think.
It's funny. I sent my investor update to Tiny Seed yesterday, and kind of do three categories, or four categories. At the top, I was like break down the stats for the last month, and then talk about what progress happened, what challenges are you facing, and what are your plans coming up. Kind of break it into three chunks. It's like on the progress front, I kind of summarize progress I've made on the product, the high level, impactful features I've shipped. And by the time I got done with that section, I was like, oh, there's a lot here. It feels pretty good. But then on the challenges section, like the only thing I could really find to list off was like, I am continue to be somewhat anxious about pace of product development and eventually want to hire somebody to help in that front. But I feel like investing in marketing right now is a better use of funds. And Rob emailed me back and was like, I had to laugh at this because I got through reading the top section. It's like, damn, he's really moving fast. And then only to read in your next section, like, I'm a little bit concerned about pace. But I think that's something that will probably always be the case, like holding. And I also simultaneously, I wrote back, I was like, I simultaneously feel good about pace because, it's like, yeah, it feels like I am getting a lot done, but also just know how much work there is to still do and build good software. But
yep. Yeah, I don't know. That feels probably inescapable-ish.
Yep.
Short of a lot of meditation or something.
Yeah, right. It's mostly a me problem, not an actual problem with the business.
Right, it's a brain thing.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be good for you to keep doing that. the tweet thing.
Yeah, I think
Tweeting your work as you go.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I'm kind of in a groove and figured out like a format that works well. So I want to keep that up.
Are you at 4-figure MRR yet?
Not yet. Getting really, really close, though. I will be sure to.
Nice.
I hope by the next. Well, we're recording on a Monday, and we're recording again later this week. But hopefully, within the next couple of recordings, I should cross over that line. So
very cool. I mean, that's. I feel like that's when it starts to get kind of real.
Yeah.
It's like those thousands of MRR. It's like, okay, this is like we're getting up to like rent or mortgage or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
It starts to become a thing. Exciting.
My overall anxiety level is gradually incrementally going down because I can feel the traction and I can grew by 80% last month and like things are feeling good, and it's like I have been in this kind of realm of non-default aliveness for a while now since leaving Drip. So I was sharing with some friends that like in my mastermind that like it's fine. It feels like the pressure is finally starting to come off just a little bit from myself of like needing to get traction because I can start to feel it. So that feels good. Yeah.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Well, and one other update too. So I mentioned this last time, but didn't name the person by name, but I have someone starting part-time to help out with marketing stuff. And that person is Corey Haynes, formerly from Barometrics. And he runs Swipe Files now, and he's basically decided to go out on his own a couple of months ago, I think, and has been kind of hustling on his own stuff, but also doing consulting on the side. And I've been following him for years on Twitter, know his chops, kind of know he's a smart guy and entrepreneurial. And that's kind of the type of generalist that I want at this stage. So we got to talking and it worked out. So I'm super stoked. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. I know Corey a little bit and he seems awesome. I think he'll be good for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you guys talked about what he's going to specifically start with?
Yeah, so I mean, we actually have a call today. We're kicking off today, but I've started like filing some tickets to scope out some projects, and we've kind of batted back and forth over email a bit. And I think it's really going to be focusing on running through some positioning exercises. I think like April Dunford type stuff, just to make sure that like positioning is aligned as best we can right now for who we're trying to go after, and then probably crafting some experiments to validate traction channels that we could potentially invest in. It's like, I know probably most things, we're trying to start flywheels here. So most of those will take some time. They may not have immediate results, but trying to devise some experiments to get a sense for like what things will be most effective, whether it's content or investing in SEO or whatever. So I think, probably running some experiments and then also trying to just brainstorm, think outside the box a little bit. What can we do that's unique to us,
Yeah. That sounds cool. Are most of the people signing up now kind of the developer-y types, microconf type crowd?
I would say, yeah, a good chunk of them from that community specifically. Also a good chunk of people that I don't personally know or haven't met, but are founders. So I would say like, I think I'm predominantly founders right now. Almost everyone, so, and that's where the messaging is kind of positioned towards, which is good because I think it's a good one to start with for me because they're, kind of early adopter types by nature. They want kind of best tool for the job. They make decisions for themselves on what tooling they use. So they're in a good decision-making position to just throw down the credit card. And if it works well for them, if they're a little bit further along, they'll have probably a team of people that they want to invite in. So I think it's like, I feel good about targeting them first,
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
If you are going to target them, it almost seems like you would want to like change your positioning and messaging and whatnot to talk about that.
Yeah. That specific use case. Yeah.
Yeah. It might be a little tricky to like, well, you might need like another feature or two that kind of looks like, hey, this is for like, here's the founder scheduling problem.
Right.
And why this feature makes sense for that.
Yeah. I think that's where like April Dunford has some good ideas about like straddling the line of like keeping things general enough where you don't exclude too many people too early, but also like taking somewhat of a stance on who you're for. Because it's a careful balance, I think, at this stage.
Yep. Cool. Well, it'll be interesting to see how the marketing thing works. I'm curious to hear the results of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you add a part-time person and have them focus on these things and then get like good results from it?
Right. Because it's not something that I see happening too often, I guess, in our immediate circle. I see a lot of hiring first for development help and the founder CEO focusing on the marketing side. And so this is some kind of flipping it on the conventional way that people go.
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes perfect sense for you given your skills.
Yeah. Agreed.
But I'll be interested to see how it works out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool. Anything else going on in your side?
I think that's the bulk of it. What's been going on with you?
I spoke at a virtual conference a
Mm-hmm.
little while back. It was okay.
Yeah.
The talk was fine. I was like pretty happy with the talk, but I was realizing like the thing, this won't shock you, the thing I like about conferences is like the people and then like the performance, like the being on stage and doing your thing. And so this is kind of like all of the talk prep and work, but none of the payoff.
Yeah. That's a good reminder. Like I have seen you do talks and you are generally somewhat interactive with the audience. Like do little warm-ups at the beginning, you figure out ways to like weave in like getting audience participation to make sure people are staying awake. Like you're pretty masterful at that from what I've seen.
Thanks. Yeah, and I like hopping like off the stage and walking around and like just improvising as I, think of some random thing. And this is like pre-recorded in my apartment and then a Q&A afterwards, and it was kind of like, I think this is like it's tough, it's what we have right now, but at least in terms of my personal enjoyment, it's not the same, of course. But whatever. I was glad I tried it as like a marketing activity, and now I have like a 20-minute talk on pair programming, so I can record that separately and put that somewhere else and whatnot. So it's there were some good byproducts from it, I think.
Any results early on from you did that interview with the Shopify engineering leader, right?
Farhan.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I'm not doing a ton of like marketing attribution tracking or whatnot. Got shared around well. Like the Shopify engineering Twitter account tweeted it out, and it's got a lot of attention and views and whatnot. But
hard to measure that kind of stuff.
We don't ask people when they sign up how they heard about us, but
yeah,
looks okay.
Cool.
Maybe if I had a marketing person, they would make me do that rather than later.
Yep.
As we said with this Twitter thing, it's like sometimes people enter the funnel in a kind of a weird way and they hang out for a while and then figuring out exactly what got them into the orbit and then finally make the purchase decision. It's kind of a messy thing anyway, this attribution idea. So I kind of just have been not worrying about it too much. And as long as we get enough trials and enough of them convert, it's kind of like, I think that's okay. I think we're doing all right. Yeah,
just kind of biased towards tracking the highest level business metrics and are things going in the right direction? Well, then probably some things we're doing are working.
Yeah. And
right.
like, am I making things that developers think are useful and cool and build our brand positively and act as enduring assets? I think so. Yeah, it seems like it. So, okay, I think we're probably good. Seems hard to go too wrong in that. As I have more time and we get more sophisticated, we can do things like, okay, which of these particular activities seems to have the most ROI? Let's double down on those.
Right. Yeah. But you kind of have to throw stuff out there and read the tea leaves a little bit and see like, okay, when I do a video like this, like, yeah, this gets a lot of lift. And I think if we get more, you invest even more in this and start tracking stuff like that, you could get more sophisticated down the line. Yeah,
exactly. More on that in a second. But I also had a cool experience last week, which is Stripe Climate launched to the public, which is Stripe's initiative where you can very easily opt into donating a percentage of your revenue and have it go to fighting climate change. We were in an early beta for that, and then it launched last week. And right at the top of this page, like stripe.com/climate, is the Tuple logo.
Very cool.
And like an example page showing like, oh yeah, Tuple's using this. And it's like, oh my God. Which is super cool for us.
That is very cool. Yeah. You have some friends over at Stripe. You seem to be in on betas and stuff on the inside track with Stripe.
I think it maybe started with Patrick McKenzie.
Okay. Yeah.
And like we kind of got into like a beta, and then like I guess we gave good feedback, or they like us or something, and so we just we've been asked for a few other things. We're game and we like it, so it's like we developed a little bit of a nice little partnership informally, which is cool. We get access to stuff early, and then we get to help kind of shape the development a little bit, and it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think it's probably how honestly like some of the strongest or best like partnerships are formed is kind of more organically, and not like you didn't like cold email them and say, hey, I would really like to be featured on your climate landing page. Like,
right. Yeah.
Like this just came kind of through the other direction of like growing the relationship, which is probably something that something to keep in mind as I think about like how to form good partnerships with companies, and like you've provided them value by giving them feedback on their early stuff, and like it's been this kind of thing that's grown over time.
Yeah, it's win-win, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's nice when those opportunities are available.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's cool. And man, it's a testament to them too, where like they're as big as they are and they still do these. It's clear they have this process of like, all right, we're going to start with a really minimal alpha. We're going to reach out to certain companies we think will be a good fit. We're going to invite them to a Slack channel and like get their feedback constantly on like, I had a call with a product manager there, and like at that point, all she had was kind of like just like mock-ups done in Keynote. It was just like really rough, like A or B, which of these looks more interesting? Okay, which of these looks more interesting, B or C? And just really at the highest level, kind of taking my temperature on some things. And it's clear that they're doing this all throughout. And like we're part of some like betas, or like betas that are getting closer to launch, and it's like they're asking more detailed feedback, but all on the way. It's like, here's a survey, here's a Slack message, here's an email. Can you want to call? Like they're just really kind of ravenous for the customer feedback.
Yeah, it's so smart, and they seem to have like systematized it. They're not just this really unique snowflake of a company that just has a bunch of like really rock star developers and designers on. Like they have a process, obviously, that they work, and it produces good product, right?
Yeah, totally. I saw a Twitter thread by somebody who was talking about how Stripe works, and this person said something like, one of the only ways you can really get in trouble at Stripe is by not getting user feedback on the thing you're working on.
Nice. Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that sounds true.
Seems like a good core principle to have at play with anything you're building. Yeah.
Totally. And yeah, and it's just so clear to me, having seen this a few times, like that they really start it very early. It's like pre-development, and then when there's one feature out of the 100 that they're going to need, they have 2 or 3 or 5 teams using it, and like they just are getting feedback from the earliest days and continually soliciting as they build.
Right. That's good. That's a good muscle build up, man.
Yeah, and then it doesn't end. Remember, I think I told the story about being at MicroConf, and like Stripe had sponsored it and sent a few engineers, like not marketing people, but like some of the devs behind like billing or checkout or something. And I remember talking to one of them, and he's like, "How's like?" He's like, do you use it? And I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "Oh, how's it working?" And I started to answer, and he like pulled out a notebook.
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right, that's pretty cool."
Yeah.
It's like this is not just an idle conversation. This is real, getting real customer feedback, and like wrote my name down in my email so he could follow up on these things I was saying. And it's like, damn, that is how you do it. That is amazing.
Yeah, that's something I've gotten in the habit of doing. We did this back at Drip too. I have an ever-evolving process on like logging when someone requests something, and if it's something I'm likely to build that's already on the roadmap. But basically, if there's something that's on the roadmap somewhere in the backlog, at least I've created a ticket for it. I'm like, I intend to build this thing, and someone requests it, always like noting down their name in just a bulleted list on the thing. And then when it launches, of course, doing all the regular like public, put it on the change log and maybe email customers and stuff, but also like following up on the original thread, like resurfacing that thread in support or wherever they reached out and like, hey, by the way, this thing's live. And people love that, closing that feedback loop personally. Yeah.
And it's not that hard, but like following up with people is like just really, it's powerful. It's not a complicated thing, but it's so rarely done.
Yep. Yeah, one-liner is good enough. You don't have to write paragraphs. In fact, you should not. Yeah.
Right. So I've also been working on a job description, and it's undergone a lot of revisions. As of now, the title on it is Senior Product Designer, I think is where I'm ending up. But that even just the title of what do we call this has changed 3 times.
Okay.
But so the gist is like someone to help shape the roadmap, like take all the feedback from all the places and figure out what's the priority and what the order should be and what should be on there at all. And then also do sort of individual contributor design work to like, okay, we've agreed we want to do X. How does that work? Where does it go in the UI? What happens when you click the button? That kind of thing. And it's been awesome to be able to get so much feedback. So like I'm in a Slack with a bunch of ex-Thoughtbotters. And so I like shared that there, and like a bunch of Thoughtbot designers gave me a lot of feedback on it. I shared it with you. I've shared it with Wathen. I've been distributing it pretty widely and getting a lot of feedback. And it's like really kind of honing in on what we actually want. What do we call it? What should the salary range be? All these things. Like what's missing from here? And it's just been, man, what a luxury to have that much, of a network to be able to get that much feedback on something before even putting it out there.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, think of your job descriptions even as part of your product cycle that you need feedback on.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. I mean, and because it's like, that's the company product is the meta product.
Yep.
So it needs the same love and attention.
Yeah.
But so I think I'm getting close to a final version that I'm happy with, which is exciting because having this role would be really nice. Like it feels like a kind of a pretty core piece that we're missing someone really great in. And also because I'm feeling more and more like I want to dedicate more of my time to marketing. So like having someone own the roadmap and have that officially not be a thing I'm like doing that much work on, like contributing to, yes, but not being responsible for, sounds really nice. I'm optimistic this could be a really good hire for us. I think it'll be a difficult person to find. I think it could be pretty huge if we can pull it off.
What were like the key points of evolution of this like job description? Because to me that sounds on the surface sort of like what you traditionally call a product manager or a director of product or something. You're kind of looking for that hybrid skill set of like you should have, be a product person, then also be able to wade into the design realm. So is that where like product designer came from?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's been sort of the tricky element of it, which is like I had like kind of like I tried for a while being like, is this a head of product?
Right.
And got some feedback where it's like like that's probably not the right title for a company our size with like a product team of one.
Yeah.
Right. That's something you probably hire later to build out that organization or to manage the existing organization.
Right.
And especially if like what we're looking for is a fair amount of individual contributor work, that's probably not a head of product person. And originally it was kind of just like, oh, is this a product designer? Is it product manager? Like a product manager, it kind of is that, except that the design piece is a big part of what we're missing here. So if it's just like, I just talk to users and then figure out what we should do.
And write specs. Right.
But it's like now we have the sort of the same problem as before, which is like, okay, great. We all agree this feature would be great, but like, how's it going to work? I think this sort of senior product designer idea is like, okay, if you're a senior person, you're almost certainly expected to have some roadmap influence, right? Like you've gone beyond just doing the designs and now you're expected to have product sense and ability to talk to users and that sort of thing, operating at a bit more of a strategic level. So that feels kind of like the right spot for me. And the salary range that we're like ready to pay is is senior level. So it seems like we could probably find someone there.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like this person would? I mean, they'll have a lot of IC work, individual contributor work right now, but do you feel like this person also could be the person that grows into like managing a small team of designers, like eventually finding a lieutenant like to join their team and report to them kind of thing? Or do you think you'll stay decently flat where like eventually you'll look for a designer and they'll report up to you and kind of be next to this product designer person?
I'm not totally sure. We like keeping the team pretty lean. It could be the case that with the right person, we can get away with just them for a while if they have the right set of skills. If we do get to the point where we feel like we need to keep expanding that team, sure, it might be nice if they have that ability and want to move into a management role. But to me, it wouldn't be a deal breaker if they didn't on either of those. We're at the size of like strong individual contributors are probably mostly what we want, kind of like multi-talented kind of or multi-skilled individual contributors are probably about the right thing. There's just not enough people or complexity for a more pure management type yet, I think.
Yeah, I'm of the mind that it still makes a lot of sense to stay pretty flat until, if you reach the point where you have like literally like 100 or more people or something, then like that's where hierarchy makes more sense. But like, I mean, I feel like Basecamp at 50 is still pretty flat, and
Yeah.
You know,
If we ever hit 100 people, I would blow my mind. That would be the most ridiculous thing. That feels like ridiculous. That feels like pure fantasy at this point, or not even not even good. It doesn't even sound good. Like I'm not like attracted to the idea of like a large organization inherently. But if we were like, yeah, that's how big we needed to be to do what we wanted, but that would be crazy.
have you thought about what your vision is for like growing the company? Like, how big do you want to get it, and like what are your aspirations for that in terms of like, I guess, ambitions for revenue and headcount, and like what kind of company do you want to work in? Like,
To me, the motivating factor is around like quality more than size of company or revenue exactly. It's more like we want to make really great software that people love, and then like have like great marketing that people think is cool and interesting and that sort of thing. And so to me, I'm kind of thinking of it as like, what's the minimum team size of badasses that we need to have great things in all the categories that we're doing to achieve the quality that we want?
it might end up working really well.
We'll see. I hope so. That feels like a pretty good strategy to me. Like it's just like code, right? Where it's like code is an asset and a liability. You know, the asset part is the thing. Is the value it gives to customers, and the liability is the fact that you have to maintain it, and it has bugs in it and all that. And people have the same sort of duality. And so it's like if we can build great software and give people great experiences with fewer people, then that's almost always better, I think. I don't find it appealing to have more people just for people's sake. I don't know, and I don't think about revenue numbers exactly. Where I'm like, I mean, it'd be cool to hit certain milestones. Like there's things where I'm like, ooh, if we keep growing at this rate, in 18 months we'll hit this number. That's fun, but like, man, it just does not satisfy. Every milestone we've hit, we're like, wow, and then like 10 minutes later, it's like, oh, okay, next problem.
Yep,
It's just really nothing in there, unfortunately.
Yeah. Which is good wisdom to remind people, because I think people they give a little too much weight to financial revenue milestones, probably.
Yeah, I think the like sustainably profitable one is like kind of like the last one that matters, or like in a way. I mean, there's other great things that you can do as you have revenue. Like the fact that we can hire a senior designer is because we've grown to a certain point. It's undeniable that there is like positive upshot to it. But in terms of like lasting mental happiness or satisfaction, it's just like, no, it's like a beautiful present box, and then you open it up and there's nothing inside.
Yeah. This is where I think it gets important to know what do you really care about? What are you really aiming for? Because once you achieve the point where like, yep, the company is stable, I get a nice salary, and I, own this asset. But like beyond that, it's like, well, what now? So like, are you trying to just like, then at that point, you better enjoy your job, because if you created a job for yourself that you hate, then it's like, cool, I could be drawing a salary probably similar to what I'm drawing right now, and maybe I'd love my job more. So it's like, there's got to be the company you actually want to work for, right?
Yeah. I'm also interested in issuing giant dividend checks, for the record. That's part of the journey. Again, that's not like a deeply fulfilling, makes you happy kind of thing. But like, I don't want it to be just like, oh yeah, I could make the same amount of money at a job. To me, part of the reward of this is like, yeah, your compensation can be linked to just your ability to make more value in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We run with a very healthy profit margin, and I'm very interested in maintaining that. Like the idea of just reinvesting almost everything back into the business is not a strategy that interests me, honestly. Like I want to reinvest in it, but like let's have enough that we can reinvest and then also, take stuff out and make money along the way.
How do you go about calculating how much to reinvest? Like, I don't know, should we build out a whole team to build the Linux client, or should we cut ourselves a nice bonus this year? Like, how do you go about thinking that through? Or is it just kind of go by feel?
So we've been doing it by quarter so far, and we sit down and we say like, all right, here's how much margin there is, here's how much money we could invest if we want to. And then we kind of talk about it in terms of like, what do we want to do? Like, do we want to hire? What might that cost? Are there things we want to spend money on that are substantial that we should plan in? But I like this kind of idea of like, set your target profit margin and then run the business on the rest. And like and then like you're always going to be profitable and you'll always be making money along the way. And it's like, yeah, if you want to hire more people than you can, well, grow some and then hire those people.
Yeah.
the idea of founders who have built multi-million-dollar SaaS companies but are like making a normal salary and not taking distributions to me is that sounds terrible.
Which I think is the position of, honestly, a lot of SaaS founders, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
I think.
That feels wrong to me. It feels wrong in the same way that's like everyone taking VC feels wrong, where it's like, if you just don't if you don't think about it enough and be intentional, you might just hop onto the VC track because that's what everyone seems to be doing. And you might not stop and be like, wait a minute, should we be on the VC track? This doesn't make sense for us. It feels like reinvesting all your profit feels kind of similar, which is like, yes, you can kind of always make this argument that you should reinvest profit, and then it makes the business, it's like it'll increase the whatever, and it makes the business more valuable, and it's like you're pushing returns down the line. But it's like you can kind of always make that justification. So like, are you going to be 5 years into this and have a $10 million SaaS and like take home $100,000? Like, is that seems just, I don't know. And then you're like in the like, well, I guess I have to sell to make any money thing. Like you've gone the VC route accidentally, but without the funding.
Yeah. My sense is a lot of companies do this out of not by choice, but necessity. They're on just thin enough margins. Like, SaaS companies are high profit margin in the sense of like, we don't have a lot of fixed costs, like capital investments we have to make, right? We rent our servers and all that kind of stuff. If you're following the kind of playbook of like only hire when it really, really hurts, I think a lot of companies ascribe to that. And yet that hiring for roles where it really, really hurts, they really need help, keeps them basically at that razor thin, like we're in pain and we grow just a little bit and we grow just enough to be able to hire the next person to alleviate the pain that we're in. Like, I think that's the position that's certainly what we were in at Drip for a long time, where it's like we had a really small team of developers. We had a support person. We had some, customer support staff, and we felt like we were barely keeping up with the work that we had to do to continue to move the business forward. And we were basically at like kind of bumping up against, profitability for a long time.
What prevented you from having larger margins? Like why couldn't you have run Drip with 40% margins or something?
I think it's just, the cost of growing the business, and growing and maintaining the business, like supporting it, providing demos and customer success. Like,
yeah, you had so much support requests that you needed to pay for a full-time person. You had a lot of server costs or a lot of email sending cost or something.
Yep. Just everything added up, spent on personnel. There was tons of profit if you subtract the personnel. It's all in personnel. I think that's where a lot of companies are at. I think you guys are in a somewhat of a unique situation where there's a nice bit of free cash flow on top of your current personnel costs, which is fantastic. but I think a lot of companies aren't necessarily doing it by choice, is what my sense is.
Sure. I know my experience is like so colored by my current situation that is not applicable to everyone. So like, I don't think I actually have much advice or wisdom to offer here. Sometimes you like learn how to do more with less, I think, if you have to. Whereas like, okay, if we decided that we have to have this margin, how could we make the business work at this headcount, for example? I wonder if some people could maybe make some changes where it's like, we thought we needed to do this, but it turns out if we had a better whatever, we could do it differently.
Yeah. I think also like something that we kind of enjoy, right? Like I'm enjoying it on a small scale, you're enjoying it on a larger scale, is like being able to do kind of marketing activities that don't come with a specific price tag on them. Like Tuple's growing and you're doing sales, but that has ROI on it, right? And then you're doing kind of a Twitter strategy where you're kind of just getting kind of word of mouth spun up through the community, and that's driving a lot of adoption and stuff. And those things don't come with, like, you're not investing $20,000 a month into those marketing strategies to get eventual ROI. But I think that's also the other thing that a lot of companies have to do. Like if they're if we're going to do content, we're going to do it right. We're going to pay a lot of money to writers, and it's going to take a while for that to pay off, but you have to continually invest the money into that. Or if you're doing SEO, or if you're doing whatever, I think a lot of these things do require cash investments, unless they happen to be, kind of more word of mouthy type things that can just organically happen.
So makes sense. I was listening to a podcast with this CEO of like a very enterprisey B2B SaaS company. Mm-hmm. And he was saying like their average customer value is something like $100,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
and the average cost to acquire a customer is $100,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Right.
like, oh my, wow.
Yep.
So yeah, there are businesses where the payback period is not even in the first year.
Yep. Oh, totally. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Right.
So you're telling me check my privilege?
A little bit.
Check,
a little
check
bit,
my
I think.
business privilege?
Yeah. Yeah. I would be curious to know, like, have you guys attempted to calculate your cost to acquire a customer, your CAC?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't.
And it might be negligible at this point. You know?
I mean, we haven't. I don't think we spent money on acquiring any, like no paid ads, and we don't pay anyone to do marketing. Like I do marketing activities, so I guess my salary is customer acquisition cost or something. You could say. So I'm not sure. I would say it's pretty minimal at this point.
Yep. Yep. Nothing to be sad about. That's fantastic.
And I feel like, yeah, it's nice. It's a good life. Things are good.
Yeah.
I'm a lucky guy. That's pretty long. Why don't we wrap it up here?
Let's wrap it. Yeah.
I have another topic. We'll push it to next week.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right. Notes of the show.
Notes of the show can be found at artofproductpodcast.com.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.